I want to put a little disclaimer right at the front of this review, just in case this is the first video of mine you've ever clicked on. I'm a massive fan of the Chronicles of Narnia books, and I hated the Voyage of the Dawn Treader movie. I thought it was an abysmal adaptation and a very mediocre to average movie. And yet, you just clicked on a review for the Blu-ray. Yes, I bought a Blu-ray of a movie I really don't like. Because I love analyzing movies, I love these books, and this is the Chronicles of Narnia Geek. It chronicles my experience, anticipating these adaptations of my favorite books. This is one of those experiences, so have to review it. What can I say? I bought the movie only for analysis purposes. Just want that clear. Okay, with that out of the way, let's move on. First off, I'm going to go ahead and pull up a scene here. So we have something cool going in the background. But, first off, a comment on the picture and audio quality. I found the quality to be more than adequate. I watched it. This is a 32-inch Samsung, and I have decent surround sound, and so I thought it looked good. Not exactly reference quality, but I would give the transfer a big thumbs up. I was happy with it. It looks very much how I remembered it in theaters, with one exception, and that's the aspect ratio. In theaters, the film was presented with an aspect ratio of 2.39 by 1. Here we're seeing an aspect ratio of 1.78 by 1, so that eliminates the black bars. Now, director Michael Apted talks a little bit about this on the commentary and says, I just felt that on a TV screen, it's a more intimate experience if you have a less square ratio. Which, okay, I may or may not agree with that, but that's fine. If he feels that way, sure. And I'm glad he cared enough to mention that to Fox when they were doing the Blu-ray transfer. Unfortunately, it was done kind of carelessly, and there are a few shots where you can tell there's too much headroom. Here's an example. In theaters, it looks something like this. On the Blu-ray, it looks something like this, and there's just too much headroom. There's too much space at the top, and there's some shots that look kind of unbalanced. Not all of them, but it pops up occasionally. The most extreme example, which just shows how carelessly this was done, here's one of the really cool shots in the movie where it reveals Aslan at the world's end, and then here's what it looked like in theaters, and here's what it looked like on the Blu-ray. Oops. So you can see that I'm sure when they were doing the visual effects for theaters, they didn't bother to animate the CG lion paws because they knew it wasn't going to be seen, so why spend money on it? So when they uncropped it for the Blu-ray, it showed up. I don't think you were supposed to see that. So you have a shadow leading to nothing. There's an invisible Aslan there. Some people in the Narnia web forum have tried to say this is intentional. Well, the way I see it, one of these has to be a mistake. Either Apted intended to say that Aslan is actually standing there and we're just seeing his shadow, or he wanted to say, no, he's invisible, but for whatever reason we're seeing his shadow. You can't have it both ways. One of them has to be intentional. I don't see why he would change his mind for the Blu-ray release. So I think what happened here is basically Apted said, hey, can you get rid of the black bars for the Blu-ray? Fox said, sure. So they pushed a button, and that was that. It seems like it was done pretty carelessly when it probably should have been done on more of a shot-by-shot basis. So the aspect ratio, well, obviously, if that's what the director wants, that's what he should get. But I think since it was done so carelessly, you have some shots that look pretty weird. I'm going to go back to the main menu here, and I'm going to start talking about the extras. First of all, for some reason when I click extras, it functions more like a DVD menu where it pauses and goes to a different menu, or typically on a Blu-ray it would pop up. I'm not sure why that is. But I right at the beginning here, I have to comment on the way the extras are organized. It's pretty impractical and kind of annoying. You've got all the different islands here: Goldwater, the Dawn Treader, Remander's Island, Dark Island, all the different islands, and all the different. Let me go ahead and click on Goldwater here. All the extras are sorted into different islands. Don't ask me why. First time I came here, I just wanted to watch the commentary. That was the first one I wanted to watch, and I had to kind of click around for a while trying to find it. It took me like 3 or 4 tries to find it. Turns out if you just go to setup, you can turn on the commentary from there. So that's the quickest way to do it. It's about as impractical as the packaging. But first off, a brief comment on the Explore/Discover features. In this case, Explore Goldwater, Dragon Discovery. Really a waste of time. All it is about a minute's worth of shots from the movie and a narrator saying, this is a dragon. Dragons are fierce creatures and Eustace gets turned into one. Or this is a minotaur, a strong, ferocious beast and a very good companion. Just useless stuff. If there was some artwork or animation or something, maybe that'd be something, but it's just shots from the movie, so total waste of time. Moving on to one of the more interesting ones, let me go ahead and go to, I believe it is in the Dawn. Click on the Dawn Treader here. One of the most interesting things for a fan of the books is this feature that's called Secret Islands: The Untold Adventures of the Dawn Treader. And what this is it's basically a prologue based on the beginning of chapter 2 of the book, where Caspian and Drinian are explaining all the adventures they've had leading up to when Lucy and Edmund arrive on the ship. So it takes some Pauline Veins illustrations to do this that you'll see in a second, and kind of repurposes them. It's a little weird and shows, all the things that Dawn Treader did prior to Edmund and Lucy arriving on it. And it's a little weird. It's not consistent with the movie continuity, nor is it consistent with the book's continuity. It's a little bit weird. For example, they talk about Rumblebuff and breaking down the White Witch's gate. That did not happen in the movie. I guess at least it wasn't shown in the movie. One really obvious inconsistency with the movie is that it appears to be Ben Barnes himself doing the narration here. And he talks about Trumpkin being appointed Lord Regent, and he's been practicing archery, and I think he secretly wants a rematch with your sister Susan. Well, that didn't happen in the movie. Actually, if you watch the deleted scenes in Prince Caspian, it's Caspian and Susan who have a shooting match in that really horrible scene. But so I'm not sure what they're getting at there. It's not consistent with the movie, nor is it consistent with the book. It's kind of really strange. I'm not sure what I'm looking at here. But they take a lot of Pauline Veins illustrations and kind of repurpose them. For example, we're looking at a shot from The Horse and His Boy, but they're playing it off like it's supposed to be from the battle that Caspian had with the giants. It's a little bit weird. This is it's pretty consistent with the book. I'm gonna go ahead and go back to the menu here, but a lot of it is sort of taking events that Caspian mentions and kind of expanding on them a little bit. It's fairly consistent with the book. There's a couple of funny things for fans of the book. For example, Caspian talks about how he would often play chess with Reepicheep, and how Reepicheep would make really dumb moves because he was doing what a knight would do in that situation. Well, in the book, of course, that's an encounter that Lucy and Reepicheep have. There's a part where they talk about the pirates that attacked the Dawn Treader, and how Reepicheep wanted to chase them and hang every mother's son of them and all that. And in this little short here, Andrinian said, "But what use would it be to chase them?" And Reepicheep replies, so far as I know, we did not set sail to find things useful, but to seek honor and adventure. Which is hilarious, because of course, if you know the book, that's a line from outside Dark Island, where Reepicheep wants to go into Dark Island and nobody else does. And it's also ironic because in the movie, they added this whole element of the Seven Swords. So in the movie, this is in fact a voyage to find things useful, and they're sort of contradicting it here. So it's just weird. It's not saying this is a bad little short film necessarily, but it's like, is it this in continuity with the movie or the book? It's all a little bit weird. I'm not sure what I'm looking at. Most of it is using Pauline Veins illustrations. It's all a little strange how they repurpose them and they animate them. And at the end, it's actually dedicated to Pauline Veins, who I'm a huge fan of her artwork, and she died in 2008. So that's the most kind of interesting thing if you're a fan of the book. I'm not really sure what I'm looking at. There's a lot of stuff in here that if you've been following the movie on the internet for a while, you've already seen, like the in character with Liam Neeson, Georgie Henley, Michael Apted, all that stuff. There's a lot of stuff that you've already seen. If we look at the deleted scenes, which are in the Lone Islands here, and I'll talk about the deleted scenes in more detail in the next video. And let me just say real briefly that if they had included these scenes, this would probably be my favorite movie ever. These scenes seriously fix everything that is wrong with the movie. I'm probably going to have to totally refilm my review of the movie talking about these scenes. I'm kidding, of course. The scenes are like 5 minutes long, and there's nothing really all that special about them. But I'll have a video talking about the commentary and the deleted scenes in more detail. Going on to, let me go over here to Dark Island, where we have a feature called Battle at Sea. It's about 12 minutes long, I think it was. This one's pretty decent. It's just sort of an overview of the production. It talks about the design of the Dawn Treader, which I loved. It shows C.S. Lewis's stepson, Douglas Gresham, walking on the Dawn Treader going, "This is awesome. I've always longed to actually walk on the Dawn Treader. Oh, I'm so lucky. What Narnia fan wouldn't love to walk on the Dawn Treader?" And, it gave me a new appreciation for the difficulties they faced shooting some of the storm scenes and the sea serpent battle and all that. So overall, like that, pretty well edited. It's not very long, but what little there was there was pretty good. Probably my favorite feature on this disc is the visual effects breakdown, which is on Ramandu's Island. So let me go ahead and switch over there. But I wish more movies would do stuff like that, and I would recommend watching it with director Michael Apted's commentary. It basically sort of breaks down every scene and just shows you layer by layer how all these visual effects shots were accomplished. And I have a whole new appreciation for the work that went into this. There are I'm usually pretty sensitive to being able to tell when something's fake, but there are a lot of shots in this movie I had no idea they were visual effects shots. Like when they go ashore at Goldwater. That is an exterior location, but there was no water there. That was a green screen behind the actors adding the water. And even knowing the trick, I look at it and it still looks legit. There's also a really cool part where it takes the shot and turns it on its side so you can see all the different layers. I found this very informative, very entertaining. I wish more movies would do something like this. It's probably my favorite feature on the disc. There's also this the Search for the Seven Swords match game. Waste of time. That's all I can say about that. It's just a matching game. There's somewhere in here they have, again, I can't remember where. I would have to click around for a while, and I won't subject you to that. But there's this thing called A Guide to the Dawn Treader, which looked pretty cool at first. I'm like, oh, neat. They're going to show, maybe this will be some kind of a 3D model of the Dawn Treader, and we'll do this fly-through and look at all the different parts. This will be cool. No, it turns out that you can click on all the different parts of and look at the Dawn Treader, like the poop deck and the stateroom and all this stuff. And all it is Ben Barnes narrating. Pretty cool. They seem to have gotten the actual Ben Barnes. That's pretty rare. But all it is showing shots in the movie and Caspian rambling on about, oh, and this is what we do on this part of the Dawn Treader. So what I thought was going to be a pretty cool feature ended up being pretty disappointing. Finally, if we go over to Magician's Island, we have the audio commentary with director Michael Lapton and producer Mark Johnson. I'll talk about some of the things they say in more detail in the next video. For now, I'll just say I would never call this a good commentary, but it's not nearly as dry as what I was expecting based on what some people had told me. I found like if you're a fan of the film at all, it's semi-interesting. Most of it is stuff you already kind of knew because I've been following the movie for so long. Like the fact, oh yeah, we shot in Australia and we built this giant ship that rocked back and forth. Yeah, I pretty much already knew a lot of that. Occasionally there's stories from the set that are kind of interesting, and they don't talk about the story that much. It's mostly just technical details and how they shot things. And since I'm really interested in filmmaking, I found that semi-interesting. So I wouldn't call this a good commentary. Like if you're interested in the film, it's decent. Unfortunately, if you're a fan of the books, it's pretty disappointing because he doesn't talk about any of the issues you would want him to talk about. I mean, he talks about the green mist a little bit and the undragoning, and that's kind of it. He doesn't really talk about a lot of the changes that were made and why they were made. So I found that overall to be pretty disappointing. I wish he had addressed some of those. Definitely not nearly as good as I thought the Andrew Adamson commentaries on the Caspian and Wardrobe DVDs were pretty good, pretty informative, and as a fan, didn't address everything I wanted to hear, but he addressed a lot of the issues. I wonder why they made that change. And here he mostly just talks about how they did the visual effects in the scene and stuff, and doesn't really talk about the issues I would like to hear. So as a fan, I found that pretty disappointing. So overall thoughts on the Dawn Treader Blu-ray. Well, first off, in summary, the picture and audio quality are great. Not awesome, but 2 thumbs up. Very well done. The aspect ratio and conversion, unfortunately, was done pretty carelessly. The extras, a lot of them, like the Explore Discovery, stuff with the narrator just rambling on about minotaurs and stuff. Total waste of time. Skip them. I don't know why. They did the same thing on the Wardrobe DVD. I don't know why they did that. The Secret Island short film was a little weird because it's not really in continuity with anything. It's a bit odd. It's very nice of them to dedicate it to Pauline Veins. There's some deleted scenes on here, which they're nothing all that special. There's some redundancy here if you've been following the movie online. There's also some redundancy. I think they talk about the picture in the bedroom scene like 3 times, on this disc. The battle at sea and visual effects breakdown features are pretty good. The Guide to the Dawn Treader was disappointing. The game, don't bother. Commentary was alright. So overall, I'd probably give this about the same score I gave the movie, I guess. Average, nothing special. If you're just coming into this as a fan of the book, it's not you'll be very disappointed, not just because the movie sucks, but because there's not really that much for you. Also, if you're just a fan of the first 2 films, it's disappointing because the previous 2 films had pretty good extras, both in terms of quality and quantity. And here, not much. For the most part, it just seems like they just kind of threw some stuff on there. Not a whole lot of thought went into it. So I'm not going to call it a bad release, but if you're a fan of the movie on any level, it's pretty disappointing.